file is everything. And reading the file is the most important thing. Number of the times you read the file, your orientation or your perspective or your understanding about the file changes at some times.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Super Lawyer YouTube channel. Today we are here with Advocate Akhand Pratap Singh sir, who has been an icon in turning his life around after preparing for UPSC. After not being able to crack the final segment, he decided to move and do law, where he is doing wonders. He has been representing Delhi police in more than 20 high profile cases which are related to MCOCA Act, Unlawful Activities Acts as well. His career has been a demonstration of unwavering commitment to justice. His ability to navigate the most challenging legal scapes and a profound understanding of intricacies of criminal law are absolutely amazing. Thank you, sir, for being here. We are most humbled and too eager to learn from your challenges and what all you have done in your life.
It's my pleasure to be on your channel, and it's my pleasure to share my experiences and my thoughts with you. So,
thank you so much,
and thank you and a welcome.
And so we will start with a very prominent question of why and when you decided to do law after UPSC examinations, and what were the decisive moments that may have led you to choose law instead of what you were doing already. What ways do you think that all that experience that you garnered over the years influenced your approach towards legal profession? So floor is all yours.
The reason for me for doing the law after I was not able to qualify for the UPSC, the main motive for even preparation for the UPSC was to serve the nation or serve the people of the country. And law is another field where in other way we are there to serve the society, serve the people, either appearing on behalf of the defense side or appearing on behalf of the prosecution side. So basically we are there to help the society. If any person is indulge into any problem, they approaches the lawyer. In that way, we are helping the people. So the purpose and the objective for doing the law was only for the purpose of the helping the people at the grassroots level.
So doing so, how have you felt yourself like when you were planning to become an UPSC winner, I would say, but that did not happen. How did you switch that particular psychological aspect and actually kept on serving the society for betterment of it? What all have you done? And also we would request you to share some of your not only challenges but also successes where people have been affected and your life also in turn has been affected by those changes that came through your successes from the cases.
See, I have completed my law in the year 2011, and since then, from 2011 to 2021, I was basically or mainly a defense counsel on the criminal side. I was defending the accused people in the cases where the Delhi police was on the prosecution side, or the people representing the cases in which the charge sheet has been filed by the CBI or the ED. So in that way, I was representing the people, and in that manner, I also came to know the challenges which the prosecution is also facing by what type of legal requirement is there even to build up a foolproof cases also. So in that context, I came to understand that the nuances of the criminal side practice is a very, very demanding aspect, and to go into the nitty-gritties and to get into the details on each and every aspect. First thing. The second thing, even at sometimes I have experienced that people are going through so much pain by experiencing the litigation. So what I was doing is that actually helping those people in a proper manner to the best of my capability. And that's how the journey started first. And since 2011 to 2015, I was an associate with my senior Rajesh Anand, and I have learned a lot from him about the nuances of the criminal law. 2015 onwards, I started as an independent practice. And my first big case as an independent lawyer was a coal scam case. In that case, I represented one of the sitting director mines, Jharkhand government. So, and I was also one of the youngest lawyer of all those people who were representing the other co-accused in the same cases. And that case, it was the first in all of the coal scam bunch of the cases. So that's how my journey as an independent lawyer started. And prior to that, even when I was working with my senior Rajesh Anand, I got an opportunity to work in some of the very good cases, and one of those cases is the CWG scam, Commonwealth Games scam. That was my first case. I will say that I got an opportunity to basically represent the accused, in which the CBI was the prosecuting agency. And one of the, I will say, the bulkiest cases in terms of the volumes of the paper, in terms of the volumes of the accused, and in terms of the magnitude of the case. So that's how basically my journey started. And even before that, with my senior Rajesh Anand, I also got an opportunity to learn from him the nuances of the cross examination, which I will say is the root thing or the most important thing for any criminal lawyer to understand. The problem is that sometimes there are people who don't want to get into the trial. Otherwise, in my individual opinion, cross-examination is the most important aspect for any the criminal lawyer, and that is the evidence on which the superior courts in the form of the session court, if it is a magistrate trial or if it is a session court trial, then the Honorable High Court or the Honorable Supreme Court finally decides at the stage of the appeal, either by the filed by the accused person or filed by the state. So the most important thing for the purpose of any criminal trial is the recording of the evidence, either by the prosecution or the cross-examination, and for the defense counsel. To learn the art of the cross-examination is the most important thing, and for that I give my all thanks to my senior Mr. Rajesh Anand. So that's how the journey started. There was a time when I was doing most of the MCOCA cases for the defense side, 2015 to 2020, 21. Thereafter, I got an opportunity to represent the Delhi police in one of the case, which is in the name of the state versus Sukesh Chandrasekhar, where the person was booked under the MCOCA, and I was approached by the Delhi police to represent them as a special public prosecutor, and that's how my journey started, being a special public prosecutor to represent the Delhi police. Thereafter, I represented Delhi police in a number of the cases as a special public prosecutor. One of those cases, the Parliament security breach case. I am also representing the Delhi police in narco-terrorism case. I am also representing Delhi police in which basically MCOCA has been invoked against a number of the organized crime syndicates. I am also representing the Delhi police in that because there is a case with the Khalistan angle, with the local terrorist people, local gangster people, and some of the gangsters sitting abroad. They have formed the nexus, and they're indulged into the terrorist act within the territory of India. So I'm representing Delhi police, and I'm trying my level best of my capability to represent the Delhi police.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir, for sharing all this. I'll digress a little bit from what we have been discussing. The kind of cases that you have done, what kind of psychological impact have you faced? I'm pretty sure they must be very, very stringent. There are so many things which you cannot share with anyone or everyone. How has that impacted your understanding of human psychology, I would say? And how do you make sure that that does not directly impact you as well? Because there are many times it has been seen, especially in criminal defense attorneys, that if they are too much involved in a case, it impacts them mentally and morally both. So how have you taken care of that aspect? Because I'm pretty sure that it may have been asked earlier also to you, but then I really would request you to talk something about it because it impacts the mental health aspect of any attorney, and it will be very helpful for our learners to understand how to make sure to have a boundary between that particular segment of life and your work.
The problem with the advocate is the work-life balance, and I totally agree with that. There is no hesitation in accepting that. I totally agree with that. And yes, we as a lawyer, we are able to devote the time on a very lesser side as it is required for the family. And I agree with that. Every profession has its own demand. Every profession has its own pros and cons. So once I have chosen this field, so my priority is always the work along with the life. And yes, sometimes one thing takes the toll on the another, but yes, not on the cost of the another thing. That is first thing. Second thing regarding maintaining, yes, we hardly get time to sleep. I will totally agree with that. But yes, we need to be physically fit, mentally fit, and the most important thing is the presence of mind, particularly in the courtroom, because sometimes a query comes from the honorable court on a specific aspect. And if we are not able to keep ourselves physically and mentally fit, there can be a situation where we will not be able to respond properly, first thing. And that response also comes from the aspect of how much you are prepared with your file. My understanding about the criminal law is that every time when you go through the file, you learn the new thing. Because see, there is always everything in the file. I will say that is in my opinion. Either you appear on behalf of the state or either you appear for the defense. File is everything. And reading the file is the most important thing. Number of the times you read the file, your orientation or your perspective or your understanding about the file changes at some times. Because maybe there can be an occasion that by anyhow, you miss certain very important things on the first occasion. I was doing a case of a trap case, anti-corruption branch Delhi police case, and I was representing one of the accused who was caught red-handed. And there was a sting recording also of entire that trap thing. For the first time when I read the file, or I can say 2, 3 times, I was not able to gather how in what manner I am going to represent the accused, because being a criminal lawyer, we also need to strategize our case also. So I was not able to. But yes, after going through the file again and again and again and again, finally I got some legal aspect on the ground of which finally I got the video of the trap inadmissible before the honorable court in terms of the evidence act. So that's how I will say my understanding about the reading of the file, my understanding about how to approach the case, and in my opinion, that's how I tackle the file. And I am also open to my associates because I need to be receptive also with their opinion, because I am not the person who can say that I know everything or that I am always correct. Maybe my associate who is less experienced to me in terms of the year wise, but he can have a brilliant idea. He can have a different understanding about the same subject matter in a different way, which is more helpful to me. So in that way, we basically go through the file. All people of the associates who is marked with that specific file, he is open to share his own opinion, ideas, or his understanding about the file. I am ready to share my opinion, ideas with her or him, and then finally we'll come to the conclusion or strategize how to approach any of the cases. So that's how I approach any of the cases. Or the same approach is even when I am appearing as a special public prosecutor in any of the cases. See, basically any case is dependent upon two things. The first thing is the fact. Facts cannot be changed. I totally agree. And the law is not dependent upon the fact, but fact is dependent upon the law. So then we have to approach or search for an appropriate law on that subject matter. And as a situation arises, then we basically deal in that accordingly in that manner.
Thank you, sir, for sharing about your understanding and the way you approach these things.
Yes.
Sir, in the year 2015, as you said, that you took on challenging role of representing an accused in a very high-profile coal scam case.
Yes.
You were the youngest lawyer. What kind of
Yes.
strategies did you develop during that time to use in order to distinguish yourself in such a complex case where there were so many seniors who were opposed to you? And what kind of experience you had while securing this particular client's acquittal? Because all of what you do impacts you as well as the client physically, psychologically, and monetarily as well. So what kind of strategies did you have? If you can give us some nuggets about that as
Please.
well.
In 2015, I was representing a client in the name of a Bipin Bihari Singh, who happens to be at that point of time the sitting director, Mines and Mineral Department, Government of Jharkhand. So in that case, I was one of the youngest lawyer. I will say yes, youngest lawyer of all the councils who were representing the different accused. And that case was basically registered by the CBI. So for me, the best way to understand the case was from the perspective of the client. And that I will say I was quite blessed that my client was also very, very keen to share the nuances of his case. And because he was also a learned person, he has worked on very, very different departments on behalf of the government of Jharkhand. And for the entire 2 years, 15, 16, 17, I worked almost on every Sunday also. I can say that. Uh, Because my client used to come from the Ranchi to Delhi. So he used to come on Saturday. Then on the entire Sunday, we used to basically discuss about the case and prepare about the strategies. And I will also say that the cooperation from the Honorable Court was also immense to me. I'm very thankful to the Honorable Court, who was presiding officer at that point of time, for giving me the confidence to represent such type of cases. And I'm quite thankful to you. And my way to approach the case was, again, read the file again and again, again and again, because everything is in the file, either for the prosecution side or from the defense side. We need to have a command on your file. There is no this way or that way about to approach on any file. And if you have a command over your file, you are always one step ahead with your opposition. That is my way to approach the case, any of the case.
It's absolutely eye-opening that you are talking about reading the file again and again, which now has become a norm. Usually, what I have seen, people do not read that much. But if you're talking about insisting about reading that particular file, that brings in a lot of knowledge in itself, that what is the case all about and how it works. So, doing all these things in your career, you have also taken up a landmark case of the Unnao rape. Along with that,
Yes.
you were working on Commonwealth Games scam, parliamentary breach case, as you were talking about. How did you manage such a high profile and sensitive case, especially the Unnao rape case? What kind of factors did you consider while handling them? And if you could share some example of any particularly challenging aspect of these kind of sensitive cases where you have to refrain from talking to too many people, but you have to strategize as well in order to make sure that the justice is delivered.
When I started appearing on the Unnao case, the biggest challenge or the fight I was basically facing was the time management, first thing. And the reason for that is that the Honorable Supreme Court has basically passed an order to complete the trial within a time bound manner. So, what we were basically doing, we were there in the court, cross examining the witness at some time, even at a 7 to 8 a.m. in the night also. That case started from September 2019, and finally the judgment came in the month of March 2020 in that case. I was basically representing in the Unnao case. There are five cases on Unnao, if you follow, just for your knowledge. One case is the rape case. One case is the death of the father of the prosecutrix. One case is where the police personnel were charge sheeted for falsely implicating the father of the prosecutrix. Another case is the gang rape case, which was it's the fourth case, and the fifth case was regarding one accident case, which basically triggered the transfer of all of the cases, bunch of the cases from the state of UP to GN city of Delhi. So I was representing in that murder of the father of the prosecutor's case. In that case, and in that case, I was representing the IO of that case, who was basically charge sheeted by the CBI for falsely implicating the father of the prosecutor in that case. I will say it is one of the most challenging cases of my career, being a defense counsel, where on a daily basis, in the evening at around 7 or 8 p.m., we come to know that these are the two or three witnesses who were summoned for the next date. So again, from the Tisazari court, we have to rush to our office. At that point of time, my office was in a defense colony. So rush to my office, and thereafter again entire midnight burning of the oil, because only in the late evening we come to know that these are the three witnesses who have been called for the next date for the purpose of the deposition of the witnesses. And within that period of time, we have to prepare. We have to go through his statement recorded under 161 CRPC or 164 CRPC, and prepare also for the purpose of the cross examination. But yes, that gave me a very good sense of the satisfaction Though there was a conviction against my client, and I will also say that. But it was one of the most challenging, and it also helped me to learn how to tackle the situation where there is an extreme urgency, where there is an extreme level of involvement required. And I can say I was quite helpful at that point of time from all of my associates, from my family members also. To that extent, I'm thankful to all.
That is what I
Yeah.
was talking about, the kind of psychological impact these kind of cases develop on an attorney. It impacts us for a very long period of time. You shifted from defending clients to representing Delhi police as a special public prosecutor, as you already have stated. It marked
Yeah.
a major turning point in your career. How did you manage to do that? What inspired this particular change? And what kind of approach was there while handling these legal cases from the opposite side, while you were there in the defense side earlier? From defense to prosecution, how did you manage that transition, and what all was going on in your mind while you were doing so?
I will say that was the biggest challenge for me when I moved from the defense side to the prosecution side. And because all of a sudden I was defending a client on the same legal aspect, now I have to oppose the same purpose, but standing on a different side on the same legal aspect. So that was a very, very good challenge for me. But what attracted me, or what I will say pushed me, that there is a, in my opinion, a very good sense of satisfaction when you represent the state and the state is imposing a faith on you. And the duty and the responsibility on your shoulder is increased by manifold, because you are there to basically represent the state in those cases where the government has imposed a faith on you despite being the availability of the regular prosecutors. So my job was to work more harder and to go represent the state to the best of my capabilities. And there are also occasions, just I will share you one thing. Being a special public prosecutor, I am a single person who is representing the state. But in the same case, there are 10 accused, 11 accused, 5 accused, and for every accused, there are different counsels. So I have to basically legally counter all those accused for one versus the 10 also. Just for example, there is a case, my first case is a Sukesh Chandrasekhar case, presently in which there are 22 accused. So 22 accused are represented by the different councils. So at the same time, I have to represent the 22, basically count, counter the 22 legal opinions or legal arguments which are advanced by those people in the court. So that is another way of selling. So that requires more preparation, more going into the depth of the case to that extent.
So you digressed from having the conventional criminal cases to a different genre of criminal cases under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, as well as Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substances Act. What kind of thought process was involved over there? Because the challenges must have been different. The kind of challenges that you face, we would request you to share those, as well as your own thought about how you manage these cases, because these are very unique cases. These are very uniquely drafted as well, if I'm not wrong. So I would request you to share your thought process about these, and how did you digress from your regular criminal cases to these?
I will accept that by representing the state as a special public prosecutor, it is my duty to help the state in the best of my capability. The first thing, whenever I get appointed in any case, the first thing is that have a meeting with the investigating officer, understand the case first from their perspective, thereafter understand the case from my perspective, and then also what is the best thing which can be done in that case legally. Means how to place any evidence, how to represent that evidence before the honorable court, and how those because at sometimes what we see as a lawyer also, there are the evidences available, but somehow it is not properly presented before the honorable court, and because of that, at some point of time, defense counsel can take a benefit of that. So my first bounden duty is to help the investigating officer to get them prepare the case the best of their capability, the best of my capability. Every special act has a different procedural requirement. For example, requirement under the MCOCA is different, requirement under the UAPA is different, and the requirement under the NDPS Act is also different. So the understanding of the subject matter of all special act cases in which I am doing, it is my first duty is to understand the subject matter. Thereafter, I will only be in the position to help the state or to represent the state in the best of my capability. That is my way to approach any case to this.
So, sir, throughout your career, you have demonstrated a different kind of commitment towards justice. An impressive understanding of complexities are also involved in the kind of high profile cases that you have gone through. After these many years of handling such intricate and emotionally challenging cases, how have you kept your motivation and passion for criminal law not only alive but moving forward as well?
First of all, I will say that the first day when I entered into this field, I will say that I blessed that I joined that office where most of the cases was pertaining to the criminal law. And since that day, I developed a good interest in the criminal law. And till date, I have not for a even single day, I felt that why I am doing the criminal law. In my opinion, criminal law is the most challenging, and there is always something to do more because understanding of the criminal law attracts me, I will say. And to understand the nuances of the criminal law further motivate me. And the best thing with the criminal law is that there is not even two cases which we can say are similar to each other. Every case has an independent, different fact which has not at all bearing with another case. That's why in the beginning I stated to first have a command over the fact. Thereafter, law is there, legal aspect, judgments are going to help you. But if you are not under your control, the facts of the case, then the judgments are not going to help you. So, understanding the facts of the case, understanding the subject matter of the case is the most important thing for me. Further, I don't know, but something motivates me to read the file, to go through the judgment, passed on a day-to-day basis by the Honorable Supreme Court and the Honorable High Courts, and it attracts me. It cannot be expressed in words, but yes, it is something there.
So it has been seen through the defense attorneys and the prosecution side of the attorneys as well. There have been times where I have gone through a lot of interviews of the criminal lawyers. So kind of psychology that is involved, and I am unable to stop myself from asking you, how do you see the kind of crime that has happened, the mens rea that we talk about, the psychology involved, circumstances involved? How do you not compare that with the day-to-day life that we go through? And to use the word being scared, because there are so many things going around. So how do you keep yourself mentally very strong and making sure that society is also safe? Because you are at that particular verge where you stop these people from getting out in public and making sure that society is safe. So kind of grit that you have, where do you get that from? You already have answered that particular aspect, that you feel motivated, but there must be something, sir, that you may be reading about or may go to when you are a little, I'm pretty sure you may not be demotivated most of the times, but sometimes it happens that we see such cases, especially as you talked about Unnao rape case, and as you talk about even the crime that is going on in white collar crime departments as well. What kind of psychology is involved there? Have you ever thought about that, or are you planning any book around that? Because you have gone through such high profile cases, we are expecting some book or something which we can rely on.
Book will come when it has to come, first of all. But yes, something is definitely in the pipeline. Second thing regarding myself, first of all, I only get attached with the file. I am least bothered about the names of the people who are there in the file. And that is the first thing I have to do. Because when I will start getting by the names of the accused who are there in the file, either by the defense side and specifically for the prosecution side, then I would not be representing the state or defending any accused. Particularly, I will say the representing the state, because I am there to represent the state in the manner in which the case has been filed. I have to be totally disassociated, no attachment. See, for me, there is a accused. I am not even expected to go why they have committed the crime. My thing is, if the crime has been committed, then these people should be brought to the justice. The thing is that my duty is to represent the state in the manner as required under the present legal system. For me, any accused is only X, Y, Z. For me, it is not beyond that. So this is how I get myself psychologically disassociated with any of the accused person.
Thank you so much, sir, for being so clear about the motivation, the way you should pick up the case, and the kind of motivation that you have given to our learners. I hope that they will understand why they need to be attached to the file and not to the names and being affected by those. And it has been an enriching experience. Thank you so much, sir, for being
Thank you
here
very much.
with us at Super Lawyer YouTube channel. We have had an immense pleasure to have you here. Thank you, sir.
Same here, and thank you very much. Thank you.